Kim here with Little Biz Resources, and today we're going to look at SEMRush again, or SEMrush, and we're going to look at keyword research, but specifically how to find keywords that rank easy and I'll say or because if you saw our last video, it was about real estate, and real estate is very difficult to find anything easy. So the other option is to find keywords that convert better, right? And so let me go ahead and show you. Here I'm in SEMrush. Now, normally you're going to see the projects overview right here, and we're skipping that for now. And we're going to go down to keyword overview. And here we can type in some keywords. So I'm going to show you real estate because it was extremely difficult and to give you an idea of how to identify the best keywords. So when I say that it is difficult, keep in mind that this is national keyword research. Okay, so if we're talking about real estate, you could easily add in local terms and make that easier to rank for. So let me show you what I mean here. So we're going to put in realtor, and I'm going to, so this is where you can change it to different countries. So we're going to leave it US because that's where I'm at. And then you can narrow this down if you want to. The problem that I've found with narrowing it down is that there's not always enough data. So it might, instead of saying, realtor and you want to look in a specific area. So let's look at, I don't know if I can let me do it. So Sparks, Nevada, that's where I'm at, right? So since we were doing real estate before, we're going to say realtor Sparks, Nevada. I'm going to say search. Now, again, the biggest challenge we have with this is that there may not be enough data locally. So Sparks, Nevada is kind of small compared to, say, like Dallas, Texas, or Los Angeles or New York. And running it through one of those might be a little bit easier. And I would say do that regionally. So if you're on the West Coast, don't do New York, do LA. And that's because people use, I took a linguistics class many years ago, and there's still geographically words that are geographic. So you don't want to use, if somebody's using realtor on the West Coast, they might be using real estate agent somewhere else or some other term. So here you can see this is with no narrowing down because there's only like 5 keywords. And they have realtor, realtor.com, realtor near me, realtors near me, and then realtor.com again. Now, obviously, realtor.com is branded, so you could try to rank for that if you wanted to, but it's 100% for keyword difficulty. So even locally, they're saying that these are difficulty. I suspect that this difficulty is based on this keyword nationally, and they're just looking to see what the volume is estimated locally. I mean, even realtor.com locally seems like that's a lot, though there's probably a lot of people who are just looking to see how the real estate market is going on with realtor.com rather than, oh, I'm looking for a home. And that's exactly what I mean by finding keywords that convert. So here, these keywords are, well, this is view all 696,133 keywords. But what we're going to do instead is I'm going to take this off. I'm going to change it to just United States because it gives me a better idea here. So keyword variations, so they still have the same amount of keywords. And look, those numbers are about the same, right? 2.2 million for realtor. So it wasn't specific to Sparks. So I'm going to say view all of these keywords. And then you can see, look at, there's like reds. Here's a couple of yellows. So that's under possible. Now, this keyword difficulty here is going to be, we've got volume, keyword difficulty, intent, cost per click. This is all things to narrow this down to filter the results. And that's what we're going to do to look at. You can see intent right here where this one says navigational. The user wants to find a specific page or site. So when they're looking, they think that the majority of people who type in realtor, it's a navigational term, not, well, let's go through some more. So here is one that's transactional. The user wants to complete an action, a conversion. So transactional is one that would be more of one that's likely to convert. So if somebody types in realtor, they're not as likely to, it's navigational. They're looking for maybe a specific page or just pages in general. So there's more steps before they get to possibly making a transaction. So calling you, emailing you, signing up for something. Now that, or buying something even. And so we got to look at whether it's not, they think the majority of people who type in realtor are navigational, but realtor near me is transactional. So, I mean, what's the difference between that? Who knows? And there's plenty of people who type in realtor and probably end up eventually clicking on a realtor and using a realtor. The challenge with that is that you've got 2.2 million monthly, people searching this, and they're saying this research is suggesting that the term realtor itself, which is 100% keyword difficulty, so basically impossible to rank for unless you're already ranking for it. They're saying that, oh, well, that one's actually navigational. So looking at this, though, you've got realtor near me, and then you've got this one that says it's commercial, which is funny because this one says realtor and this one says realtors, right? I don't think the S makes a difference. But that shows you that there is some, and they only have 33,000. So they're showing you that between realtor and realtors. Anyway, between those, you've got some that are going to be making a transaction, but a lot of them that are not. And I don't know that if they type that in, if Google's going to say, oh, well, they typed in realtors, so they're going to be a commercial intent. Whereas, oh, they typed in realtor, so they're going to be navigational. I don't know that you're going to necessarily get too many different results. That's going to be more based on the algorithm. So when it comes down to ranking, first of all, these are extremely difficult to rank for. I would argue even locally, because it's just a very competitive industry. But you also don't know what their intent is. So realtor near me, again, very difficult to rank for still. And then let's go down for a little bit more. Here's one that's informational. How much do realtors make? Right, that's informational. So they want to find an answer to some sort of question, right? And that's obviously, that is a question. How much do realtors make? So we've got navigational, transactional, commercial, and informational. I think those are the only four. And like this one, realtors.com, right? That's realtor.com. That's what they're looking at, right? They have navigational and commercial. So they're saying even this one, if they're typing that in, then we don't know which one it is. It could be either one. So they're seeing, based on the research that they have, the data that they have access to, they're seeing both types of transactions. So this, oh my gosh, there's a green one. Of course, I don't know what realtors conspired means. And then you'll also find, I will tell you that you'll find that there is quite a few inappropriate terms that are much easier to rank for. However, they're not going to show up in search results, so it's pointless. So anyway, I'll show you how to filter that out too if you need to. So here we go. If we want to do some filters, let's say that we want to do a volume. We want to have at least 1,000. So we could do 1,000 to 10,000, or we could do a custom range. Sorry, I've got my face over it. All right. So this one, let's say we want to do 1,000 to 100,000. Yeah, that's 100,000. So we're going to apply that. So we didn't narrow it down much, but we at least have a start. Like we don't want to go on, like in this case, I'm just showing you we don't want to go under 1,000. You can do under 1,000, especially if you're local. Under 1,000 locally would be fine. Keyword density. Now here you can say, oh, I want to see all the very easy ones. Let's see if it shows up. Probably inappropriate stuff only. Realtors in movies. Yeah. So that's funny that that's commercial. And investigate brands or services. That's hilarious. Realtors in movies. So then a lot of these are informational and they're very, very specific. So specific names. There's one about a video on one of these. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm going to try to block that out because that one's really inappropriate. So then we can come in here. We can go, which I have no control over these results, right? So we can go, I want to go from 0 to, since difficult starts at 50, I'm going to go to 49. So I'm going to say 49. I'm going to say apply. And now I have specific words that are potentially easier to rank for. Now I'm going to do intent, and I don't want informational. I mean, don't get me wrong. Informational is very valuable because you have people who are looking for information and will convert eventually. So if part of your ecosystem, and realtors is a good example because, or real estate in general is a good example because people are looking for information, you can have an opt-in. Oh yeah, so they might be looking for information right now, but they could be in 6 months or a year looking to buy a house, right? So informational is valuable. But if you're looking for, hey, I want people, if I want to focus on, and again, this is just kind of your strategy, but like, hey, I want to focus on people who are ready to buy a home. And that's what a lot of people want to do. Then you want to look at commercial or transactional. Navigational isn't as valuable. Again, all of these are good to do. And if you might want to go through and say, okay, I have a list of informational ones, navigational, commercial, and transactional that I want to focus on over time. But to start off with, if you're just getting started, whether it's in e-commerce or it's in real estate or it's in roofing, whatever it is, if you're just getting started, you might want to just pick like 4 or 5 keywords to focus on because trying to optimize for like 20 is impossible. But I say impossible, it's difficult. So we've got informational, navigational. Let's do commercial and transactional and apply those. That should hopefully get rid of those disgusting ones. And now you can start to see here that we've got some different keywords that, I mean, realtor signs, it's transactional. It's not probably related to real estate. So now we can also sort by volume. And I just did it the other way. So you can see the highest number, or you can go by keyword difficulty. You're like, oh, you know what? I want to see stop it. I want to see the lowest keyword difficulty. And so now you can start to see Ralph, my realtor. I'm guessing that's some sort of a brand. Um, we love realtors. Get your customer approved for a mortgage. That's a really weird search term. That seems to me that that's bottish. I don't know how many people would type that in. And then this one, they have an address in here. And there's addresses in some of these. So yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot here that I'd say, oh yeah, you should totally rank for that. But you got to go scroll through, see if there's anything available. Now, the other thing you can do is you can do some advanced filters here and you can do a word count if you're like, hey, I only want to do 2. And then let's see. We can exclude keywords. Like if we saw some of those swear words back there, we could probably exclude some of those keywords. If you want to include specific keywords, let's say that you do have a brand that you're trying to target, or you want to target everybody who's typing in specifically realtor, you can put that in there. You have CPC is cost per click, and that's for the ads. So this is the average price in this particular instance, US currency, that advertisers pay for a user's click on an ad. So you can also see that these are 0, 90 cents, $1.30, and that's because these are low competition and probably hardly anybody's looking for most people. They don't really want to convert on those. So let me go ahead and clear these out for a second. Okay. So we cleared that out. We're going to go back to this general room by volume again, the other way. And so you can see here, we're back to realtor, and that one, you can see the cost per click is 75 cents. But considering that it's navigational, that's pretty high for navigational. And you can look at this one that says that it's transactional, $7.80 is the average cost per click. That doesn't mean that people pay that. It's just that's what the average is. Um, I mean, and when I pay people pay advertisers. So you as an advertiser, if you're advertising, putting your ad out there, when somebody clicks on it, that's the average what people are paying per click, not conversion per click. This is why so many realtors and for that matter, places like Home Advisor, they exist because if you're looking for industries that are usually, service home services, then it's so expensive for cost per click that it's better to pay per actual lead than it is to pay for cost per click. So there's a balancing act. You have to get better. If you get better at ads, then it would be cheaper than paying for leads. So anyway, so this is the general idea of how to look up keywords. Now, what's important about this is that you have to either decide on what you want to do or rely on somebody else's strategy. So if you're brand new and you're just getting started, and let's say I had mentioned roofing, let's look at roofing because I swear this is going to be, I hate the swear words. I wish there was a way to say no swear words, just anything that is disgusting and gross. Keep off my results. So in this case, red roofing, that's funny. That's not roofing. Roofing is roofing. So 74,000, that's 83. So it's still fairly competitive for the general terms. And you can actually, if you want to narrow this down, to get, let's show you an example of this. Where did I put this? Trying to remember how to add let's just go back into here. Go back to keyword overview. Click on the wrong thing. Break it all. Okay, so we are location right here. So I'm going to show you Sparks, Nevada for roofing. Give it a second to think, or multiple seconds to think. But anyway, so if you're looking at the keyword difficulty and everything else, that's a national keyword difficulty. If you were to type in roofing Sparks, Nevada, it's not going to come up with hardly any results. It may not come up with results at all. And that's not because people aren't searching that. I mean, if I'm in Sparks, right? I'm right next to Reno. There are plenty of people who will search Sparks or Reno because they want to stay within the radius, right? Now, the biggest challenge with the local keywords is that if you type in roofing Sparks, Nevada, there's not enough search volume for Google to track that. So it doesn't care. I said Google any of them. None of them can really track enough data to give you any type of relevant information. So people are searching for it, but you're not going to really know a number. Unless you're running ads, you can get a better idea. If you have a website that's getting local clicks and you can track that, then you can have a better idea. So this one, they're saying keyword difficulty says 30% possible for the keywords. Intent is commercial. So what is this? Volume 20? Is that for roofing just in Sparks, Nevada? Yeah. So it looks like it's that particular keyword for Sparks, Nevada. But if we look at, and then it still says down here, it's 83, but they're trying to tell you that, see, it is easier. It is more possible within the local search terms. So this is just keyword variations, and this is for United States in general. If you wanted to look at more specific terms here, I mean, it might be worth it, but again, you just making it local is going to be good. So now we're going to say roofing. Let's see if I can change the location here to Los Angeles, California. It's going to get different, huh? And thinking about this, so I used to live in Texas. And in Texas, for those who don't know, I was up in Dallas Fort Worth area. So we would every spring, so actually late winter, I say winter, we didn't always have a winter, but so late winter throughout the spring, we would have horrible storms come through and tornadoes, high winds, etc. And one of the major industries was roofing because people needed roofs like right then. So storms would come through, people would be calling, roofing companies would be like, they'd just pop up for the spring and then they'd just be closed by within a couple of weeks. So it was kind of a ridiculous industry simply because there's a lot of scamming and everything else that goes on, but it's super competitive there because there's so much need, right? And LA is probably not nearly as much of a need as it is in, say, Dallas. Well, yeah, I guess inside the Metroplex would be fine. So look, they're saying 50%. So remember, it's 30% for Sparks, 50% difficult for LA. So now let's look at Dallas. Dallas, Texas. And so keeping in mind that that's where I go, okay, LA is really populated. There's a lot more companies. There's a lot of tech people in that area. So I would suspect that that would be harder to do anyway. Dallas also has a lot of tech people. Like there's a lot of tech people in that Dallas Fort Worth area. So I wouldn't expect this to be less than 50%, but we're going to see. That's my guess. I haven't done this. So we're going to see what it is. Less than 50% is what or I don't expect it to be less than 50%. So we're going to see. But I kind of think it's going to be higher. Oh, 51. So it was pretty close. So right there, adding in the local element, just being local, is going to give you a better advantage. Now, if you're specifically focused on local, though, you should do what I talked about in the last video where I talked about going under this local tab and having a Google business listing, right? So I'll put a link to that video so you can watch that. But when you're looking at keywords, you want to look at, and you'll see here there's questions. So let's go back into that for a second. I'm going to go back into here to these. You can look at just the questions, but what I want to do is show you that, let's say that I narrow down my volume. I'm going to do 1,000 to 10,000. I'm going to do keyword difficulty, and I'm going to make it 0 to 49. What am I doing? And then I'm going to say apply here. I'm not going to worry about intent right now, but I'm just going to do the volume. So let's just say that somebody's looking for fascia roof, right? If I click right here and I want to specifically look at that keyword, I can see what some of the questions are. Not all of them have questions, but this might give you an idea of what type of content to create. So what is roof fascia? Fascia. I think it's fascia. Anyway, so how to install soffit. So you can see that what some of the questions are. And then if you wanted to actually click, you can click on like that one specifically, and it'll give you kind of an idea. This one is not by location, but this one says keyword difficulty 33%. And this is the keyword, that exact term. Okay. And they're telling you the volume rank. So you can narrow, you can go, oh, you know what? This is a really good question. Is it one that I could possibly rank for? And then you can dive into that one a little bit more. So that helps give you an idea. Like if you're, hey, I want to rank for it, but how do I rank for it? That's what you do, is you start answering the questions. And I'm going to deviate from SEMRush for a second and show you that there's two other tools that you can use. One, which is really popular, is called Answer the Public. Now, the problem is that this got bought out, so it's a little bit different than it used to be. And I think they let you do oh, look, if you register, you get 3 daily searches for free. And it's probably worth it to try this one. But another one is called Answer Socrates, I think. We'll find out. Yeah. Okay. Answer Socrates. And so I'm going to show you on here, the topic is going to be roofing, right? Country is going to be United States. Language is English. I'm going to say search. And that one also says 3 free searches per day, which is new. They used to let you have, they must have got bought out too. All right. Well, I'm using a weird Google account, so I'm fine with that. Don't email me here. I'm deleting this account soon. It was for when I was volunteering for the PTO. All right. So this one has, people also ask, what is the cheapest option for a new roof? What are the 3 types of roofing? Answer the Public does something similar here, right? So you have R, and then it goes through and does these. Can, and it does these. Or can I, and then how do. So if you're like, hey, I'm really curious as to which topics people are searching, this can help show you the different topics. And then if you're like, hey, these are really good, I'd like to see what my search volume would be. Now, I use something called Keywords Everywhere to help give me a general idea, but I'm not going to know the real competition, unless I run it through SEMrush. SEMrush is the best keyword research tool that I have found as far as accuracy on how difficult it is to rank. Again, it is difficult to rank, period, for most things. So keep that in mind. But and in fact, I saw an article the other day that talked about how basically organic or SEO, search engine optimization, is pretty much impossible now. And I think that is true in some industries, real estate being one of them. Another one would be e-commerce. I talk about you can rank in e-commerce, but most e-commerce stuff comes up through Google Shopping, or you're going to rank in images. So it's a different beast, but you can still rank for content and try to get in that way, right? And even then, if you're relying solely on search engine optimization, you're doing something wrong, because we now are in a world where social media is like controlling our every thought nowadays. But let's see. So can I paint galvanized metal roofing? Let's just see. Let's just type it in. When I say, can I paint galvanized metal roofing? See if I can type that. Can I paint galvanized metal roofing. Okay, let's take this off. So they don't even know. It's such a small volume that they don't know. So that's why I like to use something called Keywords Everywhere. I do not have it on here. And I don't have it on this particular browser. So I use it on one of my browsers specifically. Though I think it broke, and so I have to redo it. But it'll show me the search volume on the pages where I can tell it to. So it'll do it here, and I can go, okay, I want to look at those. I'm not too worried. So even though it said 10, if you are in roofing, then and that's something that's popular in your area, you should consider it anyway. And that's simply because it's something that it's content, right? So the more content you put out there, the more ways that people can find you. So while you want to search on you want a specific, you're like, oh, I don't want to be for galvanized metal roofing. If you're in roofing, that's still roofing, right? So it's still telling Google that you're about roofing. And the more content you provide that's valuable, the better it is the easier it is for Google to say, okay, yeah, this is what this content is. This is the value that they're providing. It's something worthwhile showing to people. All right. So back to SEMrush. That is basically the keywords tool. I mean, there's a bunch of other things here you can do. You can do position tracking. You can do organic traffic insights. You can do a keyword strategy builder here. But again, like I didn't want that one, but I think it excuse me, it really comes down to you need to decide what you want. And I think even though the strategy would be great, right? So let's put in roofing. Let's just put in roofing. And then we're going to create a list. And I only put one keyword in here, right? So this is going to be a keyword strategy. And this is how it works. Choose a core group of keywords for your pillar page, provide more details on your topic in the subpages, produce content, and add internal links. It sounds like to me, you're basically doing the exact same thing I just said. You just decide what your strategy is. And it would be really good to walk through. And it says it takes up to 15 minutes. So we're not going to wait around for this. But this would be good to play with if you have no idea what you want to do. But in my experience, most people know what they want to do. And I'll probably play with this a little bit with like my websites and maybe do a video just on this one, depending on how well I think it produces results, because I know how to build content. So I can say, oh yeah, this is a really good or not. So we'll play with that in another video. But you at least can get started with keywords, identifying the ones that you want for commercial intent or transactional. And then if you want to do informational, you can. Like I said, there is a part where if you have, let's say out of 100% of people searching, maybe 3%, 3 to 5% are actually ready to buy something. So even if they're typing in an intentional, like intent of transaction or commercial, they may not be ready to buy. And so you should still be looking at ways to capture people and put them into your ecosystem, and like an opt-in list or just some way to capture them, even if you're just gathering the algorithm data, right? So it's actually coming up with this right now. And they have, oh, this looks familiar. This is like, so yeah, we'll play with this a little bit in another video. And for now though, you can get started with the keywords and identifying the ones that you think will work for you, and identifying ones that are easier to rank for, and deciding if you can create content for those. So if you have questions, hop into the Facebook group or just post them in the comments below, and we'll see you next time.